You're 22 when you first hear it. The sound that will define your working life. Not music, not laughter. It's the faint, tinny ring of a headset call, followed by the crackle of a customer's voice already raised in irritation. You're not even officially on shift yet. You're just standing there trying to pour your first coffee from the break room pot when someone shouts your name. A call needs escalating. You barely know what that means, but you know the tone. That clipped, urgent edge in a coworker's voice. The first note of a day that will stretch far too long. You didn't plan to work in customer service. Nobody does. It starts as a stopgap, a summer job after college that somehow bleeds into the fall, then winter. Maybe you liked the idea at first. The structure, the headset, the promise of training. They told you there was room for growth. You imagined yourself moving up into management, maybe into another department. You told yourself this was a stepping stone. At the start, you wanted to be good at it. You memorized scripts. You learned how to pronounce every product name perfectly. You smiled through every call, even when nobody could see you because they said it made your voice sound warmer. You took pride in getting perfect scores from mystery shoppers. You stayed late to help cover shifts. You thought going above and beyond would mean something. But soon, you see how it really works. The system isn't built to help customers. It's built to process them. Your day is carved into segments so small, you can't breathe between them. You log into your computer, enter 3 separate passwords, wait for the same outdated software to load. The headset smells faintly of someone else's hair product. The desk chair wobbles because one wheel is missing a screw. You learn the jargon, escalation, call time, ticket resolution, service level agreements. Each one sounds like a goal, but they're just numbers to meet so you can keep your job. You hear the same questions over and over, read the same copy-pasted replies. The hum of fluorescent lights above mixes with the click-click of keyboards, a low drone that never stops. And the customers, they're not happy to hear from you. You are the faceless barrier between them and the thing they want fixed. You're the voice they can yell at without consequence. Your first collapse comes in your second year. You're making $14.75 an hour, barely enough to cover rent and groceries. You've stopped eating lunch out. Now it's a squashed sandwich at your desk while answering emails. Your back aches from hunching over. You've started grinding your teeth in your sleep. The dentist says you'll need a night guard. You don't buy one. You can't afford it. Then comes the day you break down. It's a Friday, 4:52 p.m. You're 8 minutes from clocking out when a caller demands to speak to a supervisor. You follow protocol. They scream anyway. You try to explain, but your voice catches. You feel heat rising in your face, that tight burn behind your eyes. When the call ends, you sit there, headset still on, breathing like you've just run a race. No one notices. A few months later, you get promoted. Team lead. A small raise, $1.50 more an hour. Your own desk near the window. People congratulate you. For a moment, you feel seen. You think maybe this is the turning point, but the truth shows itself fast. The work is the same, only now you carry everyone else's problems too. You mediate between customers and agents. You handle escalations that never end well. You train new hires who quit within weeks. The window doesn't make the room any brighter. Body, your posture curves forward like the question mark you've become. Your right shoulder aches from cradling the phone on days the headset breaks. The coffee you drink to stay alert leaves your stomach raw. On your days off, you feel too drained to cook. You gain weight. Mind, you dream in call scripts. You wake up rehearsing apologies. The line between sincerity and habit blurs until you can't tell if you mean anything you say. Your patience thins in ways you don't recognize until you snap at a friend for something small, money. That extra $1.50 an hour adds up to barely $200 more each month. After taxes, most of it goes to bills. You start tracking every expense in a color-coded spreadsheet, not because you like budgeting, but because one overdraft fee could erase a week's groceries. Time, lunch breaks vanish into just one more call. Evenings disappear into unpaid overtime. Your weekend becomes a recovery room, not a life. Relationships. You stop answering texts during work because you can't get into a real conversation in a 5-minute gap. Friends stop inviting you to things. Your world shrinks to coworkers and customers. Somewhere along the way, you stop being a person with a name. You become a number on a dashboard. Average handle time, resolution rate, customer satisfaction score. Managers discuss your performance without ever speaking to you directly. If the numbers are good, you're safe. If they slip, you're replaceable. It happens on a Tuesday night. You've just closed out a 12-hour shift covering for 2 people who called in sick. You're sitting in your car in the parking lot, hands still gripping the steering wheel, not ready to drive home. You stare at the dashboard until your eyes blur. You think about the day, about how nothing you did made a real difference. You think about tomorrow and how it will be the same. You don't cry. You just feel hollow. You start asking yourself quietly, who am I without this headset, without this login, this desk, this endless cycle of being polite to strangers while your own life goes stale? You can't remember the last time you did something just for yourself. You can't picture a version of you that isn't tired. The next morning, you clock in like always. The software boots up, the calls queue. You take a deep breath, put on the headset, and start again. Not because you want to, not because it matters, but because this is what you do now. You never chose customer service. You stumble into it. Maybe it's your first real job after school. Maybe it's the only thing hiring when the rent clock is ticking. Or maybe you told yourself it would be temporary, just a stopgap until you figured out what you really wanted to do. But temporary jobs have a way of becoming permanent when the paychecks, as small as they are, keep you tethered. And before you know it, you've traded 8 hours a day for a headset, a fake smile, and the slow erosion of your patience. From the outside, it looks harmless enough. Answering phones, greeting customers, solving problems. How hard could that be? That's the trap. People think customer service is about helping people. In reality, it's about absorbing frustration like a sponge. Day after day, call after call, face after face, until you stop noticing how much you've soaked up. You start your day already tired because your brain is still running the last shift on loop. The angry voices don't clock out when you do. They replay in your head at night. Every complaint, every sarcastic, let me speak to your manager, every time you bit your tongue to avoid saying what you really thought. You wake up, put the mask back on, and walk straight into the same battlefield. Only this war has no medals, no glory, just more apologies for things you didn't do. And then there's the script. Every company has one, whether they admit it or not. The lines you're supposed to repeat, like an actor stuck in a bad play. I understand how you feel. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I'll be happy to assist you with that. You say them so many times they stop meaning anything. You're not speaking anymore. You're performing. And like any performance, it drains you. Because deep down, you know the truth. The customer doesn't want your empathy, they want results. And most of the time, you can't give them what they want, no matter how politely you phrase it. Somewhere in the fine print of your job description is the part they don't tell you during the interview. You are the lightning rod for every failure in the system. The company ships something late? It's your fault. The product breaks after 2 weeks? Your fault. The policy is unfair? You made it unfair. You stand there or sit there, catching all the heat for decisions made by people who will never hear the customer's voice, much less be screamed at by them. And it's not just the yelling. Sometimes it's worse when they don't yell. The passive-aggressive ones. The ones who drip sarcasm like poison into every sentence. The ones who call you sweetheart or buddy with a tone that makes it sound like an insult. The ones who talk to you like you're beneath them simply because you're on the other side of the counter or the phone line. You learn to read people in seconds, not because you want to, but because you have to. Because knowing who's about to explode is the only way to brace for impact. The worst part? You're not allowed to feel anything back. If they scream, you stay calm. If they insult you, you smile. If they lie to your face, you thank them for their patience. Your emotions aren't part of the transaction. You're expected to take it all in, process it instantly, and respond like a human-shaped customer service chatbot. And the moment you slip, raise your voice, roll your eyes, let the frustration leak through. They'll remember it forever. They'll write reviews, call supervisors, demand you be punished. Because in customer service, one human moment can erase 1,000 polite ones. Breaks? They exist on paper, but in reality, your 15 minutes is spent gulping water, scrolling your phone in a daze, and mentally preparing to go back in. Lunch is rushed, and even then, you're half listening for your name or your phone ringing because coverage is always thin. And if you do manage to relax, your stomach knots the second you step back to your station. That little voice says, "Here we go again." Your coworkers understand because they're in the same boat, but that's its own problem. When the boat is sinking, camaraderie only goes so far. You share war stories. You vent about the worst customers. You develop inside jokes to keep from crying, but you also notice how many of them burn out. The ones who start skipping shifts, the ones who suddenly quit without warning, the ones who stay, but you can see the light going out behind their eyes. And deep down, you wonder when it'll be your turn. Management is a mixed bag. Some are former reps who remember what it's like and try to shield you. Others are just middlemen for corporate, spouting the same lines about customer satisfaction and brand loyalty, while ignoring the fact that your satisfaction is at zero. They'll tell you to de-escalate without giving you the tools to do it. They'll promise feedback will be heard, while your suggestions vanish into the void. And when things go wrong, they'll remind you of your responsibility to the customer, as if you didn't already carry that weight every day. And then there's the metrics. The numbers that measure your worth not as a person, but as a statistic. Call time, resolution rate, customer satisfaction scores. You could solve 10 impossible problems in a row, but if one customer clicks unsatisfied because they didn't like your tone, it's a black mark against you. Every interaction is graded, judged, quantified. You don't just talk to people, you perform for the spreadsheet. The emotional cost creeps up on you. You notice you're shorter with your family, less patient with friends. Little annoyances that never used to bother you now make your skin crawl. You start avoiding phone calls in your personal life because you've already used up every ounce of your voice on strangers. You catch yourself zoning out in conversations, nodding automatically like you do at work. You're still wearing the mask, even off the clock, and you don't remember how to take it off. Physically, it wears you down too. Sitting for hours or standing for hours, either way, your body aches. Your eyes burn from screens. Your shoulders knot from tension. Some days your throat hurts from talking too much. Other days your jaw aches from clenching it to keep from saying what you really think. You live in a constant low-level state of fight or flight, and your body isn't built to sustain that forever. The worst part is how normal it starts to feel. You stop questioning why grown adults scream at you over $5 refunds. You stop being shocked when someone calls you names over a policy you didn't write. You stop expecting kindness. You just adapt. And that's the danger, because once you've adapted to being treated like you don't matter, it's harder to leave. You start to believe this is all you're worth, and yet you stay. Because bills don't pay themselves, because the idea of starting over somewhere else is exhausting, because you tell yourself it could be worse, and it could, but that doesn't mean this is good. You start counting down the hours, then the days, then the years until retirement or escape, whichever comes first. You tell yourself you'll get out when things calm down, but they never do. The phone never stops ringing. The line never stops forming. The complaints never stop coming. Every now and then, you get a good customer, someone who thanks you sincerely, someone who understands you're just doing your job. Those moments feel like oxygen, but they're rare, and they don't last. The next call, the next interaction, the next shift, it's all waiting for you. If you've ever worked customer service, you know this isn't exaggeration. You know the weight of constant performance, the mental gymnastics of staying polite when you want to scream, the quiet resentment that builds until it's part of who you are, and you know how easy it is to get stuck, because every month the bills reset and you're right back where you started. Customer service doesn't just take your time, it takes your voice, your patience, your confidence, your faith in people, and it rarely gives anything back. You clock in as yourself and clock out a little less each day. That's the real cost. And if you're listening to this, feeling that knot in your stomach because every word sounds like your life, maybe it's time to ask yourself what you're still doing here, because you don't have to let a headset or a counter be the borders of your world. You don't have to spend your best years saying, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience," to people who will forget your face the second they leave. Your life is not a customer service script. You are not here just to take orders, absorb frustration, and repeat the same lines until you forget who you are. You can step out of the loop. You can stop selling your patience for a paycheck that barely covers the rent. And there are ways. Real practical ways to make that happen. If you're ready to find one, the links in the description will show you how to escape the rat race and start building something of your own, because you've spent enough time serving everyone else. It's time to start building a life that serves you. If you're ready to stop trading your life for a paycheck, check the links in the description. I've listed real ways to escape the rat race and start building a faceless YouTube channel that works for you.